Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the Grief Support Group. This is my show on KSFS Radio. My name is Alex Piscatelli, and we are off to a slow start this morning, but that's okay, because it's one of those days, you know what I mean? Yesterday was so sunny, and now we're here. It's foggy. I get we live in the Bay Area, right? But I need sun. I'm a Southern California girl at heart. Well, you are listening now to Grief Support Group, and this is the show where I talk about all things pop culture, my research on grief and media, and I answer your advice questions. Okay, I am so excited for this show. I feel like I have a lot to cover, so we're going to get right into it. First of all, if you want to ask any advice questions and I can answer them on a future show, what I would love to direct you to is my advice. It's an anonymous form, okay? I'm not going to know who you are. You go to bit.ly, well, I should say bit.ly, / KSFS advice. Yes, you can go there and ask your advice questions, but today it's going to be a really good show. So I had this big paper due, okay? And we're going to talk about it today because I'm presenting it in class today. So we're going to get into that after we listen to a little bit of music. And then we have 2 advice questions today that we're going to get into. So first of all, the first question is how to find people who want to commit to me, not just people who want casual flings. I actually have a lot to say about this, I will say. So we're going to get right into it. And then second advice question is, my sibling is struggling with their mental health and not seeking any help for it. I'm worried about their well-being in the long term. How do I support them but not let it consume me? So I'm really excited to get into these. But first, I just wanted to talk a little bit about creativity. It's a theme that, for those who don't know, I am teaching one of the KSFS radio and podcasting classes here at San Francisco State. And I am, let's just say this, I'm a creative, okay? I'm not a tech person. I try to help as best as I can. I know basics, but I am a creative person at heart. So we have been talking a lot about creativity and authenticity. And next week we're going to talk about storytelling. It's been great. But I had a discussion with students this week and I was like, okay, how do you define creativity? When are you most creative? Let's talk about it. And I think discussion is so important for me in my classes to discuss, because I think it's something that discussion allows you to be better, right? It allows you to explain your ideas and form them and really think about and process your thoughts on certain subjects, and then you get to learn from the experiences and the outlooks of the people around you. So I love discussion first and foremost. But it was really cool because one student said that he feels most creative when he's emotional. And I was like, yes, that's it. I totally agree. And then another student was like, not to be vulnerable, but I feel most creative when I'm heartbroken. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's it. I think it's no secret that I like talking about my own grief, and I like talking about, before I talked about grief all the time, I talked about dating all the time. I love talking about kind of these vulnerable things. And I feel like when I go through these emotional experiences and continue to go through them, I love to talk about them. So this made me think about, in undergrad, which was 2014 to 2018, I was like, oh, I'm writing a memoir. I was like, a memoir is the thing that I'm destined to do, which I don't necessarily feel that way because I always thought I'd release a memoir at 28, but it's who wants to read a 28-year-old's memoir? You know what I mean? I think I'll release one at one point in life, but I had this idea that oh my God, I need to start my memoir now because it's going to come out when I'm 28. And so I wrote a chapter after I got broken up with by my 3-month-long relationship, which I don't know why I thought that would go in the memoir of my life, but at the time it felt really important, the most important ever. So I got broken up with, I think on a Monday, and I feel by Saturday, Sunday, I had wrote 2,000 words about my feelings on the matter. And then I emailed it to him. I didn't get a response, okay? But I think it's important to do things like that. And I think, you know what, looking back, like it definitely sounds like a 20-year-old wrote it, but I think it sounds really nice. I was like, wait, I kind of like, I was good. I like this. And I realized this is like a common theme for me because I have an ex-best friend. And like after we had like a whole thing, like I had ended up writing this like handwritten letter to her and delivered it to her home in the middle of the night, which sounds creepy, but yeah, that's what we did. Well, I thought it was like illegal to put things in someone's mailbox, like if you're not like I don't know, USPS. And so I think like me and my husband, like in the middle of the night, put it on her like windshield of her car, which also might be illegal. But anyway, I did this whole handwritten note, letter, and it was like 3 pages, I think 3 full pages. And I read it to my mom, and I remember my mom was like, wait, that was kind of good. Like you should take a photo of it. So like I've always had these people around me encouraging me to express my emotions in this way. But yeah, I think it's important to do so. And I think it's important to feel the breadth of emotion that we have in this life and to use it to spark our creativity. Okay. And also, I'm also creative when I have a deadline. Like I was doing some good writing yesterday because that paper was due today. So we'll get into it. So once again, you're listening to Grief Support Group. Did I ever say my name is Alex? I'm your host, Alex. It's been a morning. Let's get into a little bit of music before we get into our thesis update. Here we go. Wait, that song's so good. Okay, I haven't listened to Doja Cat's new album. I feel like no one's really talking about it. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot about it. That song in particular, it came up on my Spotify and I was like, wait, yeah, this is it. Like, this is so good. I think like I haven't listened to her music really since the like that song, which I really love. I don't know why. I feel like it's just like one of those, like you're in the car, listen to music. That one's a good one. Couldn't tell you what it's called, but I do like how it sounds. Okay, so you, once again, are listening to Grief Support Group. I'm your host, Alex Piscatelli, and we are in the segment now where I discuss my thesis. Yeah, and I actually have stuff to share, not about my thesis, but about one of my class projects that I was working on this week and that I am presenting today. So yeah, we had to do... Okay, well, let me give the thesis update first and foremost. For those who don't know, I am looking at how fans of teen television shows understand and interpret grief as part of being in the fandom of the shows. Updates on my thesis. There's not really many. Unfortunately, I didn't do much over the last week. This is going to come back and bite me later, but I swear I have been productive in other ways. And you know what? We should unlearn our idea of what productivity should look like. Okay? I feel like right now I'm being productive. I don't know, whatever. That's a whole other conversation. So thesis update I wrote in my notes is LMAO. So yeah, let's quickly move past that. Now let's talk about my paper for my media aesthetics class. So for our midterm, we had to write a paper on comparing the aesthetics of 2 different clips from 2 different like mediums. So what I chose was, of course, why would I not? The Summer I Turned Pretty and Never Have I Ever. And I picked a clip from each of these, and basically we had to pick a theme and we had to discuss how like the aesthetic choices talked about this theme, how they represented this theme. So of course, I think it's so obvious that I was going to choose these 2 shows, and I think it's so obvious that I was going to choose the theme of grief to be the one that I analyze and explore. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed working on this paper. Well, okay, I should say this. I'm a writer, okay? I define myself as a writer. I call myself a writer. I feel like I've always been a writer. What do I mean by that? I mean, I love coming up with ideas of things to write. Like, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to write about that. Yeah, I'm going to write about that. And then I love being like, ooh, look what I just wrote. I love sharing a thing I wrote and being like, I wrote that. I love the sense of accomplishment. I love finishing something. The mid part, though, the actual writing, that's where you lose me. That's where I don't know if I like that. No, I like it. I like it, but it's not my favorite part. I'm more of an idea and a completion type of girl. You know what I mean? So that being said, I did kind of enjoy writing this. There were parts that it slogged on. It was very difficult to continue to do so, but that's just the name of the game. That's what happens when you have to write a 10 to 12 page paper. Overwhelming. You know what I mean? Okay. So I had to pick 2 to 3 minute clips to compare. So I chose 2 clips from each show. I realize if you don't know these shows, my explanation about it that I'm about to say might not make perfect sense, but I'll try to explain it as best as I can and not take up too much time. So from Never Have I Ever, this clip that I picked was from the pilot episode. It's literally a 2-minute clip from like the first 4 minutes of the show. I think it's like 2 minutes in. And it is Davy, main character Davy, at her band concert, and her dad has a heart attack and dies at the concert. And then it immediately clips to her at his funeral. And then it clips to her in a pool at school, and she's at PE. It's 3 weeks after he died. The voiceover of John McEnroe says on the show, and her legs stop working. And so then it kind of introduces, there's like no explanation why her legs stop working. Of course, we know the explanation is just the physical manifestation of grief. But there's no explanation why. And then she's at a doctor's office. They're like, they're definitely not working. Then she comes back to school. She's reintroduced back to school. She's at the front of the class. Like the principal kind of embarrasses her. Then she's with her friends who like completely accept her. Her dramatic friend Eleanor is like, I shan't use my legs in protest. And then she like falls to the floor because she's like a theater kid. And so you see immediately she's accepted by her friends, and then her legs start working once again because she sees her love interest Paxton, and she stands up to look at him, and then her mother screams and hugs her, and she's kind of reminded of her grief once again. So it goes through these clips very quickly. Again, all of that was just in a 2-minute clip. And aesthetically, right, it's a comedy. The genre is comedy. It's a teen television, it's a coming of age show, but the ultimate genre is comedy. So all of these things are told very comedically. Like there's very bright lighting. There's a lot of colors in the show. Like it's doesn't look moody, even though this grief is happening to her. And so I love the show. I think it's such a great show. It's such a great depiction. And I think what I love in particular is that there's so much like talks when it comes to media aesthetics that like, oh, this darker lighting, this moodier stuff. Like if you see a crime scene, of course it's going to have all those like dark, moody like components aesthetically. But I love that in Never Have I Ever, like these horrible things have happened to her, but it's being told from her perspective the whole time. At the end of each scene, like it's a clip of, or it kind of zooms into her, and you see her reaction. Like you see when the principal kind of like embarrasses her, that she looks like, okay, what the heck? And then you see like when her legs aren't working, she like turns to her mom, like hoping her mom can do something about it. Like when her dad dies, she's completely distraught. Like she punctuates the end of each of these very quick clips. So she's the driver of the narrative the whole time, even though like these things are seemingly happening to her. And so like once again, even though this lives in the comedy genre, I think it just does such a beautiful job of like showing the, like, through her face, through her expression, you know exactly how she's feeling in the moment, and you feel for her, even though like the lighting is still bright and there's still lots of colorful like clothing and things in the background and everything too. So I loved it. I feel like analyzing the scene and like just watching it over and over and over, I'm like, wait, this show is genius, which I already knew. I loved it already, but okay, let me get into the Summer I Turned Pretty clip. So I've talked about this show literally every single show I've had so far. So you can expect that every week, I'm assuming at this point. But the clip in particular I chose is from the show's second season. So this is after the main characters, or some of the main characters, Conrad and Jeremiah, their mother has died because she has cancer in the first season, and then she dies between the first and second. So there's this clip where Conrad, who's this character who people see as like kind of moody, and he goes away, he kind of what's the word, like exiles himself from everyone else, like he keeps his emotions to himself. He leaves the room where they all are, and he has a panic attack, and it's nighttime, and he's in front of the ocean. He's on the beach because they live in a Cape Cod beach house, okay? So he's having a panic attack, and there's this moment where like for about like 10 seconds, you're just seeing cuts of a bunch of clips of him. Like there's him very close up, there's him close up from a different angle, there's him close up again, his hands to his chest, you hear his breathing, you hear his heartbeat, and you are feeling this panic attack as he feels it too. Like you're feeling the pain and the overwhelm that is encompassing him in this moment. And like they're on the beach, and like the waves are so loud, like it's a beach, right? But his like heartbeat and his breathing take over like the scene, and you feel it through his perspective. And I think that's particularly interesting because like even though like Never Have I Ever, you still are kind of looking into the event through Davy's perspective in a way, because you're seeing her emotion with it. With Conrad, you're like feeling it, like you're feeling it. You if you have experience with panic attacks, you're like, oh my God, I've been there. Like I'm feeling that. I feel the weight of him losing his mother, like weighing down on him in this moment. And unlike Never Have I Ever, which has very high key, bright lighting, The Summer I Turned Pretty, this moment is moonlit. Like it's very hard to see what's going on in the scene. And we quote this book from Zettel. I think it's called Sight, Sound, and I don't know, something else. Maybe I should know the title if I'm going to be citing it right now. But he talks about how moonlit lighting, our eyes must quote jump into action, because you are like, you have to like actually pay attention to what's going on because it's so dark on the screen. So you're like fully focused, right? And as a result, you have to pay so much attention to the panic and the pain and the grief that Conrad is going through. Isn't it? Doesn't that make you want to watch? Yeah, I know. But I just think, I mean, there's so much more I could say, and I have a 10-minute presentation of this. I don't know how I'm going to say it in only 10 minutes because it's very clear I'm a yapper, right? But I will say one thing I want to say is that even though they live and exist in different genres, they're both teen television again, and they're both coming of age shows, but Never Have I Ever is a comedy, whereas The Summer I Turned Pretty is a romance and a drama. So it's able to kind of explore it in a way that Never Have I Ever does not. However, both shows I can't say the word legitimize grief. Both shows do, because the physical symptoms of grief and how it manifests for both of these characters is so explicitly clear. Even as they're both working in their own like genre conventions, like it's still so explicitly clear the pain that they each are going through as a result of parental loss. And I also think it's particularly interesting how both shows use water as part of this moment. So for Davy, she realizes her legs don't work when she's in the pool. And for Conrad, he is by the ocean and he feels kind of emotionally oceans away from those around him. And then like Steven, one of the other characters, comes in to check on him. And once Conrad says, yeah, I've been having these a lot since my mom died, they come closer together in distance. And then you no longer hear the waves as much, and you see the waves kind of blur out in the background. So now at this point, he has been let in. He is no longer oceans away from the ones he loved. You may have seen a lot of use of water in coming of age shows in general. I think it's because water like signifies transformation. It signifies rebirth. So very often, like I know this is not like a classic example, but you think of the movie Booksmart from 2019, and there's that scene where I forget the character's name, but one of the main characters like is in the pool at a party, and it like kind of focuses on her in the pool for like a few beats, and it's because of the symbolism of rebirth and of transformation. And so I think it's so poignant that both of these shows use water in these moments, because for Davy, the scene in the pool where she no longer can use her legs happens in the scene immediately following her father's funeral. So now, like, she can no longer ignore her grief. Like, it has physically manifested, and it shows that it's something that's going to impact all of her relationships around her and the way she sees the world. Okay, that was a lot. I tried to do that very quickly. What we're going to do now is take a quick music break, and then we are going to get into our advice questions, okay? I'm really excited for it. But let's hear a little bit of Ariana. I think it's time. We always have to do one Ariana song, right? Okay, let's get into it. Okay, we are back. Yeah, that song, there's always going to be an Ariana Grande song on Grief Support Group. I'm your host, Alex Piscatelli. That one in particular, underrated. I feel like Positions as a whole is a bit underrated. That song in particular, it's a good one. 6:30 and Obvious, they're just so fall, winter, like, yeah, that's the vibe. Okay, so we are going to get into our advice questions. This is the part of the show where I answer your advice questions. And as always, if you have any that you would like to ask and I will answer in a future show, you can do so at bit.ly, that's bit.ly/KSFS advice. Okay, let's get into it. So, advice question number 1. This person asked how to find people who want to commit to me, not just people who want casual flings. Okay. I love this question. It's so obvious that I love dating questions. Like, this is it for me. I love this. So you want to find people who will commit to you and not just want casual flings. So, okay, I need to get into a little rant first of all, because I will say this, and take this, I think I give good advice. I think it's something I've been doing for a while. And I love talking about people's situations. Like, I'm just naturally curious in this way. But I want to preface this by saying I have not dated since 2019. Okay. I've been in a relationship for that long. And I think dating, especially, I don't know how old you are, the person who asked this, but I think dating is very different depending on what age you are and on when it is, right? We are now in 2025, crazy, right? But like, I think about when I was dating in 2019 and I was living in LA and I was meeting a lot of people from dating apps. Like, dating apps were huge back then. And I think they're still big, but I think dating apps have fundamentally changed and shifted. And I don't know if you are using dating apps, person who asked this question, but I just want to preface by saying, like, my advice used to be like, be everywhere, put yourself out everywhere, in person, on apps, everywhere. Now, though, I think we're in a very different time where, let me just talk about social media in general. Like, you think about Instagram, you think about Twitter. It used to be this space where, like, in the 2010s, let's say, it used to be this space where you went on Instagram, you went on Twitter, and like, you saw the things that people you love and people you know were sharing. Like, you were seeing your best friend's post. You were seeing everything. You know what I mean? Like, you were seeing things from the people you care about. And now we're at a time where you go on Instagram and you're seeing, not me, luckily, I don't see a lot of AI slop, but like, you're seeing like a AI cat come out of a teapot. And it's like, okay, like, you know what I mean? Like, why do I want to see this? And so I think social media apps and dating apps have fallen into this where they don't care about you anymore. It's not about community. It's not about you as the user. It is about how can we make the most money and how can we have people stay on our app the longest amount of time. And so I think there was a fundamental shift on dating apps, including in this, where starting in like 2020, 2021, like, they want you to stay on the app. They have made it, it's always been gamified where you're scrolling on it and swiping on it and you're treating it like a game, but now even more so, right? And there's been like studies done on this that, like, for example, on Hinge, it has this slogan of designed to be deleted, but who does that benefit? They don't want you to delete the app. And so instead, once you've been on it and they get a sense of your taste and your type, they will put the people that you are most interested in or would be most interested in behind a paywall, because they want you to pay and they want you to stay on the app and they want you to continue to use it. They have no incentive for you to find love and to be happy and meet someone from their app, right? So let me first and foremost say that, and I'm curious where you're meeting the most people that just want casual flings, right? Because I will say, and again, not saying that you are, but if you are prioritizing meeting people on the dating apps right now, I would say get off them. If you are newly single or newly on the apps, I think the apps can be a good thing, because I think you can, like, before they know your type, right? Like, you can meet a couple of people, like a person or two, and then from there, like, meet their friends. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't like them, why not, like, bring friend groups together and then try to meet other people through them, right? And so I think you have to evaluate where you're meeting people. I will also say I have a friend, an insider source, who is in a running club, and those places you go to meet people, okay? People aren't there to run. I mean, I think they do. They're there to meet and to hook up. I realize you say you don't want just that, but I think, and I'm not saying you should change your outlook or like start to want flings or whatever, but I think it can be good to go into dating not with the mindset of I want commitment, but more go into dating with the mindset of who can I meet? I want to meet new people. And I think that's an important thing to do. I think I hate the saying like, it'll come to you when you least expect it, because I think there's plenty of people who like have a goal that they want to find commitment or whatever it may be, and they are able to achieve that goal. I think that's just like a lame saying, but like I think what the true message behind that and what people really mean is that like when you put yourself out there and you like rid yourself of expectations, you can be surprised at what sticks and what you find. So I think it's important to put yourself out there to, have a goal to meet new people and to have fun, because I think dating gets not fun when it's no longer seen as fun. You know what I mean? When you are looking for one particular thing rather than being like, let me see what can happen. So I am trying to tell you, have fun with it. You will find your people. Put yourself out there, join a running club, join other clubs. I think a lot of people now in the 2020s are trying to find community and connection. I think there's a lot of clubs out there. I think there's like a junk journal, which I realize might be like all women. I don't know your gender or what gender you're interested in. But there's like junk journal clubs, like, which I think are really cool, like where you like do little collages in a journal. So there's like all these communities that I think are being formed and are happening. And I think you should put yourself out there every way you're interested in. Anything you want to do it. That's what my recommendation would be. Okay, we are going to take one more song break and then we're going to get into our final advice question. So let's get into it. Welcome back. You just listened to Arctic Monkeys. Love that song. It is so good. Okay, we are in our final segment. I can't believe how fast time flies. The tea is that I can talk for like 8 hours straight. That's the thing. I feel like I need a longer show. I don't know. Okay, let's get into our final advice question. So this person asked, oh, by the way, you're listening to Grief Support Group. My name is Alex. Okay, let's get into it. This person asked, my sibling is struggling with their mental health and not seeking any help for it. I'm worried about their well-being in the long term. How do I support them but not let it consume me? Okay, thank you so much for asking this question. I know I say this every time, but I feel really honored that y'all ask me these questions. I don't know if it's like the same person asking everything. I guess that would be like a lot, that this person particular, if they asked every question I've answered so far. But I don't know. I just love it. So thank you so much for asking that. First of all, I love that you are like thinking of your sibling in this way and wanting to help them and, you know, not knowing how. I think it can never feel like we're doing enough. And so I think it's already so apparent like how much you care for them and that you want to help them. And I'm sure they see that. And I'm sure like the people around you are seeing that and are helping or trying to help in some way. I don't know. But I think it's really great that you're thinking about that. I think it's hard because you can't like force someone to seek help, right? It has to be something that they seek on their own. And I think especially like if help is going to help them get better and help them get out of whatever mental health struggle they're feeling, like they're not going to necessarily be like receptive to it if it's not their choice to seek this help, right? So I think it's hard, but I think it's really, once again, beautiful that you are worried about them. And my question for you is, who is the community around you and your sibling? Do you have any other siblings? Do you have cousins you're close to? Do they have really good friends? Are your parents involved? Like, I think really thinking about the community and telling, if everyone is not aware of the struggles your sibling has, like, I think it's important to bring in people who like really care for them and can also be there for them, because it's a lot for you to be kind of someone who, I don't know if you're the only one like supporting them, but I think that's a hard thing. And you need community too of people that you can talk to about this and talk to, not in a like airing out your sibling's business like thing, but in a way that like you can get this off your chest and you can vent about it in a safe space to someone, and then have this other person also be there for your sibling. I think it's the best thing you can do is be there for them and make sure that the people you love and that they love are also there for this person. I think it's huge too and I think you seem like self-aware about your own mental health, which I think is really great. You want to support them, but not let it consume you. I think make sure you are taking care of your mental health in a proactive way, which once again, I think you are. But if you're not in therapy already and you think therapy might be a good thing for you, I think that's great to do. Maybe look into any sort of support group, or once again, talk to the people around you. I think the fact that you are so proactive thinking about your mental health, you want to continue to be proactive in that way, because that's the best thing you can do for your mental health. It's hard to get to a point where your mental health is so bad, and then it's hard to kind of see that it's bad until you're out of it, you know? I think a lot of us have been there. I've certainly been there. And that's kind of what I was saying, like with your sibling. I think when you're in it, it can be hard to see you need help and hard to accept help. And so I think that's their own thing that they are going to have to face. But I think it's really important for them to have community around them, and for you to have community around you, and for your community to kind of come together in this way. I hope this made sense. I think the biggest thing I wrote down is just don't do this alone. Like, I think so often, and I don't know if your sibling feels this way, and I don't know if you feel this way, but I think so often we think that our like mental health or what we're going through has to be experienced in a silo, and that we have to be the ones to deal with it because it is in our minds. And I just don't think that's true. I think community is the most important thing we have in this life. I think for me, and I'm going off somewhat on a tangent, but like, I think everyone has like their own things that help them and their own strategies that help them. I've certainly done like individual therapy before, but I find the most helpful thing for me in my current, like what I'm going through mental health, which is always grief, but also, you know, anxiety and different things like, and panic. Like, I think for me, it's really helpful I'm in a grief support group with people who have lost both parents. You know what I mean? And like, I make sure to tell people how I'm feeling. I think, especially after my mom died, I was like, I don't want to share this with anyone. And not that I didn't want to, but I was like, does anyone care? And like, I don't know. I know people care, but it's hard to, I was not in a good place. Like, and I think you don't want to burden other people with that. But I think community is what we have. You know what I mean? Like if one of my friends died, or, oh my God, not that my friend, if one of my friends' moms died and they went to me, and they told me how they were feeling, I would just want to sit there with them as they talk and as they express how they feel. I think for me, it's really important to be in community. And I think other people really need that too. So I guess TLDR is be in community and be there for your sibling and have their community around them too, because community is what we have. Okay, well, thank you all so much for listening. This has been another show of Grief Support Group, and I am just so happy the sun is coming out. Like, I feel like it's a good day. I'm going to do my presentation, hopefully not go over 10 minutes. If you want to ask an advice question for one of our future shows, you can do so at that's bit.ly, bit.ly/KSFS advice. Okay, I hope you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and I will see you next week.